Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we're back with another episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda building their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite game. On this episode, we will discuss a Noble House alliance with House Greim. We will also discuss their strengths, their weaknesses, their fighters, their playstyle, and provide critical information that you can use in your future campaigns. So that being said, let's get this video on a roll. Now when it comes to making a Noble House alliance, especially with the House of Greim, there is actually some positive as well as negative impacts that these alliances will have. One of the positive impacts is you have a special rule called a Band Apart. And what this special rule does, it gives you all the benefits of bringing additional fighters to your gang without none of the negatives of taking those extra fighters. Especially when it comes to their bodyguards. Every single one of these fighter entourages do have bodyguards, and those bodyguards are really good at keeping the leader of the Noble House alliance from harm, which makes them pretty good for getting things done, and at the same time also make sure you have to maintain a positive relationship with your Noble House alliance. It's also a good way to balance out numbers in a scenario as well, because these fighters do not take up any additional crew slots. Bringing experienced fighters with better equipment without impacting your crew sizes is always a good thing. And lastly, of course, another really big positive is that whether you're a law-abiding gang or an outlaw gang, it doesn't matter because noble houses will work with you either way. To the noble houses in Necromunda, your gang is nothing more than a tool to be used to achieve their agendas, and just like any other tool, if it breaks, they'll just replace it and get a new one. So keep that in mind when it comes to the positive impact on your campaign play. Now, aside from positive impacts, you also have some negative impacts on campaign play as well. First of all, your alliance with the Noble House can easily be broken with drawbacks. Drawbacks could have some serious implication for your gang with either deletion of fighters, taking away your income, or in some other horrible method of doing this. At the same time, this is also Noble House, and just like we've been saying for every single one of our Noble House alliance, expect some serious Game of Thrones level shenanigans, okay? These lords are petty, noble houses are backstabbing, plotting, and mercurial allies at the best of times, so always keep that in mind, just because that alliance that you might be relying on from the noble house might abandon you in the end. It just kind of depends, and it's really simple to break that alliance. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the tactical and strategic assets of House Greim. Now, when it comes to assets for a noble house, or for any alliance for that matter, we like to break down those assets between tactical and strategic assets. Tactical assets are game mechanics that affect individuals or combat on the battlefield. So these are things you'll be seeing every single time you throw down on the tabletop. These will actually affect your actual game of Necromunda on the battlefield. Now, on the other hand, you also have what's known as strategic assets, and those are game mechanics that impact a gang during the course of a campaign. So these are things like generating income, and getting additional territories, reputation, or whatever that happens to be. Now, when it comes to House Greim is actually a very solid tactical asset. And the reason why is because you get the military attaché alliance with these guys, that fight entourage, and they also got the finest Ordnance special rule as well. This will help your weapons work more reliably. It will also help you out do better on the battlefield, especially when it comes to your tabletop games as well. At the same time, it's also a pretty solid strategic asset, and the reason why is because you have an for war special rule, and this will basically help you getting scenarios into your favor to basically help you out for the most part. And that's the reason why you want to use that, because an eye for war special rule will help you with your scenarios. You also got the military attaché helping on the tabletop, so it's a pretty solid alliance. So when it comes to the benefits of making an alliance with House Greim, you basically automatically come with a strong alliance if you are a House Goliath gang. So if you're a House Goliath gang and you make this alliance, it's going to be harder for you to break this alliance, and that's kind of the nice part about it. Another really nice benefit is what's known as the finest Ordnance special rule, which basically allows you to reroll failed ammo checks on all of your weapons, which I cannot state how important that really is, okay? And the reason why is because it's a very, very powerful ability. A lot of really powerful weapons have 6 up on their ammo rolls or 4 up on their ammo rolls, and to be able to field better weapons with higher ammo rolls is going to be just invaluable for your gang as well, especially if you like using plasma weapons, bolters, bolt pistols, all those wonderful esoteric rare type weapons. This can really, really help you out as well. You don't have to rely upon the munitioneer skill or hiring ammo jacks to get this done. You'll be able to get this for all of your fighters, which is really, really nice as well. And like I said before, it's a very, very powerful tactical choice on the battlefield. Now, you do have a really good strategic choice as well, which is called an eye for war. What this does, it allows you to add +1 or subtract 1 from your scenario rolls. And this is always helpful, especially when you're playing a scenario that makes you help your gang win. And actually, just one value could actually shift the tide on that one. So for example, let's pretend you're rolling up between 2 scenarios, and on one scenario is really bad for your gang because maybe it's not really well suited for the way your gang is built out. However, on the other roll though, you have a really good scenario that would really help out your gang win that one, because maybe it's just specifically tailor-made for your gang. Being able to choose those scenarios are really going to help you out, especially in the long term when it comes to your campaign as well. At the same time, you also get access to what's going on as the military attaché, which is their entourage of fighters they send for their alliance, but we'll talk about those guys here in a second. Now, at the same time, there's also some serious drawbacks whenever you make an alliance with House Greim. One of them is called Militia Draft, and during the post-battle sequence, what ends up happening is you roll a d6 for any fighter with a Juvie level rule attached to them. You have to do this for every single one of your guys' fighters, who is a Juvie anyways. Now, on a roll of 1, that fighter automatically gets deleted from the roster. The idea is supposed to be that these guys basically get press-ganged into joining up the militias of House Greim, and they've been forced to fight on some battle somewhere, and because of that, they may or may not survive it as well. So that's one of the problems that you run for. Now, of course, the problem with this drawback is that on that one, they're dead. Is basically all that happens. So all the fighter, all the weapons and work gear are immediately deleted from the gang roster. You do not get a chance to use that stuff, so because it is completely gone. Now, of course, you could ignore this rule, but if you do so, it's going to cost you. It's going to break your alliance. It's going to you have to test the alliance if that happens. Now, on the other hand, you also got two more drawbacks too. One's called martial pride, and the other one is called seconded to the militia. And either one of these, though, is exactly pretty much the same. The difference, though, is when it takes place. So, for example, when it comes to martial pride, this rule kicks in if you lose a battle. So if you lose a battle, what ends up happening is that you must choose one of your gang fighters, and you basically have to roll to see whether they go on the militia or not. Now, when it comes to this, what ends up happening is you roll on the lasting injury table, and of course, if you survive, you earn d6 experience points. And of course, if they don't, if they die, for example, they get deleted from your roster, and you're compensated with their value and credits. However, this is a really serious drawback, and the reason why is because your fighters can go into recovery, they can get lasting injuries that actually have a negative result on their stats. Maybe you have a really good fighter you don't want to lose this way. That's one of the problems that you have when it comes to martial pride. Now, when it comes to your other rule, which is second to the militia, this is also a rule that pops up too. And this takes place during the pre-battle sequence, before the battle even actually starts. So you do have to worry about that as well. So when it comes to this could have some serious drawbacks for your gang, especially if you get really bad rolls. So just keep that in mind whenever you make this alliance with House Greim. Alright, so now that we're done talking about the benefits and drawbacks, let's go and talk about the entourage known as the military attaché. So when it comes to this one, House Greim military attaché comes with two fighters. The first guy is a Krieg Master, so let's go and talk about this guy real quick. He's actually got pretty good stats. He's got a 5-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill. He's got 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 1 attack. He's got 6+ leadership, 6+ cool, 7+ willpower, as well as 6+ intelligence. Now when it comes to his weapons and equipment that he actually has access to, he automatically comes with light Carapace armor, so he's got really good armor, 4 of armor save, really good there. He's also got a bolt pistol, which is good for close and medium shooting. He's also got a power sword, which is great for close combat, as well as overseer. Now the nice thing about this, though, is that most alliances that you actually have with noble houses or with guilds or with criminals, the overseer ability that these leaders come with can only be used inside of their little entourage. Now the nice thing about this guy, though, is that the Krieg Master can use overseer on any member of your gang. So not only does it affect the Jägerkin that comes with them with the military attaché, but they can also use this for any one of your fighters as well. Needless to say, getting double activations down for a fighter is always an excellent thing, so because of that, it just kind of speaks for itself as well. Not to mention, the Krieg Master is no slouch in close combat either. This guy can really tear up and hold his own in combat, so it's all nothing but good when it comes to the Krieg Master. Now with that, let's go ahead and talk about the Jägerkin real quick. So the Jägerkin has a 5-inch movement allowance, a 4+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill. They have 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4+ for initiative, 2 attacks. They have 8 leadership, 7 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 9 intelligence. Now when it comes to the Jägerkin comes with mesh armor, so they have a pretty good average armor save of a 5 up. They also carry a combat shotgun that is shredder, as well as salvo ammunition, and they also have a marksman ability as well. So because of that, the Jägerkin is actually a pretty fierce fighter and also a really good solid contender. In my opinion, the best way to use the Jägerkin is to use him for what he's designed to be. The Jägerkin is a bodyguard to the Krieg Master. You want to make sure that Krieg Master stays alive, because otherwise it could really test your alliance if this guy gets injured. So, and plus with the combat shotgun, it's more of a close range shooting weapon anyways, which is perfect for defense. So keep the Jägerkin with the Krieg Master, have the Krieg Master spam those overseer abilities on your fighters, have the Jägerkin protect him from any harm that might be coming his way, and you'll be perfectly fine as well. So like I said, the military attaché, a very solid tactical choice. Alright, so when it comes to the conclusions with our House Greim, the House Greim alliance is actually a very solid and also really reliable alliance to make. It got decent tactical as well as strategic assets that will really help you out for our combat-oriented gangs that will rely upon shooting for combat, especially having that access to the rerolls for your ammo checks is going to be really, really cool. However, there is a flip side to this. Their drawbacks are pretty steep, which is actually one of the problems that you run when you make an alliance with one of the noble families. Having that seconded to the militia and martial pride ability could really jack you up. It really can mess you up, especially if you lose battles. You can potentially lose 2 fighters every single time that you do so. Not to mention the militia draft will have a really big impact on your duty level fighters as well. So you do have to keep that in mind. You could lose some guys by making this alliance. But like I said before, that's the breaks when it comes to making an alliance of any sort. They always come with positive, they always come with negatives, so figure out which one is most important to you. If you're, my opinion though, if you're like a really small gang, for example, you don't have very many juvies, this is actually kind of a good alliance for you to make. But at the same time though, like I said, analyze your cost-benefit analysis and figure out which works out best for you guys. So there you guys have it. That's good for this one. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.